Preview.
Kind of glad Winker couldn't make it because I got a really special guest, John Routh, original Billy the Marlin mascot, part of the 97 World Championship. Let's talk about that. But before we do that, on Thursday, I did a show. The studio was blacked out. I had a bunch of Santeria candles all lit up here, and we brought Jobu out. And now the bats that we had scored, I think, 4 runs in the previous 5 or 6 games. The bats were cold as ice. And the only thing I knew was to offer up a sacrifice to some baseball god from the movie Major League. And here's what happened. I did it. And the next 3 games, we scored 21 runs. We scored 21 in the first 2 games. So I think it worked.
Sounds like it worked to me.
Yeah. But when I'm looking up in his cup, it looked like somebody might have taken a nip out of there, and that's maybe why we didn't win that game 3 against the Cubs.
Well, it wasn't me. I promise you that.
All right. Yeah. So getting ready to start a 2-game stint here back at Lone Depot versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Tonight, Sandy, the ace, is going against Russ Stripling. They call him the chicken strip. I don't know why. Hopefully he's the chicken strip tonight and doesn't play that well. So yeah, got to get back in the win column. We're I think 8-9 games out of from 500. But that division is packed up with a bunch of teams that just spend the whole season beating up on each other, and the guy that the last man standing is generally who's going to win that division. So hopefully it's us. But let's talk about for a minute about how you got to be Billy the Marlin, how that whole thing transpired. And then let's talk about some fun stories. I know you just did another interview. I don't want to keep you too long, but I know there's some Marlins fans that would be interested to hear about it.
Well, I was the mascot at the University of Miami.
Yeah.
Both the Miami Maniac and the Sebastian the Ibis. Of course, the Maniac was the baseball mascot.
Right.
And Ron Frazier was good friends with Mr. Huizenga.
Okay.
Who was the owner of the club back in '93. And he was able to get Don Smiley and a couple of their people. Dean Jordan was one of the top promotions people at the club back in the time prior to opening in '93, and they actually came to Mark Light and saw me perform a game.
Did you know that they were coming?
I had no clue.
Okay, but you're just up to your normal shenanigans.
Coach Frazier had arranged for them to come out, and I had applied for the job but had not heard anything. But they came out and saw me, and so I was able to, from what I understand, after that. I was told they decided I was.
That was it.
So I started negotiating, and so we I think we announced it in January of '93, early January, that I would be leaving the University of Miami. So I worked with the people who created the costume.
Okay.
The original head that they made was made out of fiberglass. These were people who worked for Disney. It was not a Disney project, but these people had worked for Disney and had created some of their characters. And they made this head out of fiberglass. It weighed about 75 pounds.
So you had to have like a neck thing harness on there?
They had it on the table when I went up to Orlando the first time, and I said, "That's beautiful. So where's the costume?" And they went, "That's the costume." And I went, "So who are you going to get to be your mascot? Because I'm not wearing that."
Right.
So we redesigned it, and the first head that we wore that I wore for opening day of '93 actually became Billy's father's costume later, because it still was not perfect. We didn't get the perfect costume until the mid of '93 season, but so I was picked to be the character and helped get things organized. I was also one part of my duties, though. I was in charge of the 7th inning stretchers. Most people may not remember the 7th inning stretchers because they only lasted 2 games.
Right.
We came up with the idea of having a group that would lead the crowd, and we used Gloria Estefan's "Get On Your Feet" song,
Mm-hmm.
and they were supposed to come out and do a cheer. It was just kind of a something new, but instead of us doing it earlier in the game, we did it the top of the 7th, and opening day, a lot of people came out. And the dancers came out, and we were trying to and everybody thought, wait a minute, they're doing this in place of "Take Me Out of the Ball Game," so they started booing. But "Take Me Out of the Ball Game" was the next half inning,
right?
And so anyway, that was part of my opening day duties, was to, or after the second game, was to tell the 7th inning stretchers that we're no longer.
That's it. Were they disappointed? Did they have uniforms also?
Oh yeah, we had, and they were beautiful girls, great dancers. There were some guys part of the group, and they were heartbroken. But it's kind of one of those funny stories that we tried something and it failed.
Right. One of the things I always wondered, I mean, being a mascot's probably one of the coolest things because you're as close to the game as being a player. But what were some of your mascot rivalries? Like your most hated mascot? I mean, obviously the Gator UF or the freaking crazy Indian up at Florida State had to be the top two. But what were some of the real like rivalries as a mascot that you had?
Well, the funny thing is, actually, we started something that has turned all of the Major League Baseball mascots into friends, into buddies. I mean, certainly, the Mets were our probably the biggest rival, and the Braves. So the Mets had Mr. Met, the guy with the big baseball head.
Right.
The Braves had Rally, who was this character. I don't even know what Rally was, but we actually in 90, I think it was in 94, it might have been 95, Bernie, the Heat mascot, had created this thing where he would invite mascots to come out. He had Bernie's birthday party. So I thought, well, let's do Billy's birthday party.
Right.
So convinced the club, and I think it was the 94 season was the first year we did it. And we brought 6 or 8 other mascots down. So we got a chance to get to know each other personally. So there wasn't as much animosity.
Right.
And, so we actually kind of played around and had fun with it. Also in 94, the All-Star game was in Pittsburgh. And there was a local group that brought all the mascots to Pittsburgh.
Here's what's funny story about that. I was at that game. That's the game that Bud Siegel let it be a tie.
Yes.
That was at the strike season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was a tie.
Yeah, the first tie in
Ever.
history. But yeah, so we actually kind of got to know a lot of the other mascots, and we became friends, and still are.
Right.
So I hate to say that we're really no big mascot rivalries. I mean, maybe Raymond over in Tampa Bay when he came around, he was a character a couple of years later. But.
Right, but I can imagine like mascots are generally ornery by nature and like to get into trouble. So if you put 5 or 6 of them together, there's something probably going to either explode or
we
burn down or something.
We almost got into some trouble at some of the All-Star games. Yeah, where you just got guys running around doing things, and you got people trying to whoa, don't go over there, and it was hard to keep us all together.
Right on,
kind of like herding cats.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't happen that often.
No. Yeah.
So what are some funny stories that you can remember, like fan interactions or just some funny things that happened at a Marlin game back in the old days?
Well, probably the greatest thing was AJ Burnett's pitch. AJ, he had been. we did the Toyota drive around, every game, and I'd stand in the back. Billy would stand in the back and throw T-shirts and use the T-shirt cannon and shoot shirts in the crowd. And one game, boom, something hit the front of the truck. I was like, what was that? AJ was pitching. And the next time we did it when AJ was pitching, boom, something hits the back of the truck, and he was like pointing at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him, underneath the stadium one game, and he wasn't pitching that night, so I could talk to him. And I said, AJ, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to break that window before the year's out.
Dang.
I said, you seriously? He goes, oh yeah, I'm going to break it. So I can't remember who we were playing that night, but it was night game, and he throws the ball. You can find the video on YouTube, and he just smashes the back window. And had it been this much further, it would have hit my knee and smashed my knee.
Right.
So I'm almost happy it hit the window, but so I'm shooting T-shirts. Boom! I hear this thing. The window crashes, and so we had to delay the game. And as we're going around third base, I look at him, and I kind of did one of these, like, okay, you got it. And he had the chaw in his mouth, and he was like, I got you. I got you.
Right. Right.
And of course he had to play it off. Oh, I slipped on the mound, but I mean, it was a delay. It was a beautiful,
obviously deliberate,
a beautiful shot.
Right on.
And so that was probably the craziest thing that happened on the field. We had a lot of fan interactions. Some. I almost got thrown off the upper deck the first year. I'm standing taking a picture with a couple of kids, and this guy, the upper deck at Pro Player, the name of it at that time.
You're right.
I always forget the names, but the upper deck was real slanted right at the top, and this guy kind of just comes out of nowhere and grabs the character Billy, and starts to kind of push over.
Right.
And fortunately, my assistant, who's now a police officer,
AKA bodyguard,
yes,
right?
Yeah, he was my protector. They call them wranglers sometimes,
right?
But he was like a bodyguard at times. But he just reaches around and grabbed the guy because I was up to my knees going over. If he had let go, I was gone.
Right.
So we had a couple of instances like that. But probably the craziest thing that happened on the road. I went up to Philadelphia the Fanatic, became a good friend of mine. And so he invited Billy to come up for opening day. The Marlins were playing up there. And so it was the first time anyone other than the Philly Fanatic had ridden his four-wheeler out on the field. So here comes Billy the Marlin pregame on the four-wheeler. The crowd's just booing and going crazy. And, of course, we'd arranged it where the Fanatic comes out like he's been tied up, and then, takes the four-wheeler. And I'm supposed to just jump into the stands and go, well, jumping in the stands in Philadelphia ain't going to work.
No.
I jump over the tarp, and the first person grabs Billy's beak and just starts yanking. And so the head's going this way. People are hitting me from behind. Of course, it's a hard head, so they're hurting their hand. But I had to just punch the guy to get him off of the thing. And I finally got back into the locker room, and the Fanatic came in, and he had no clue about it. He's like, "Wow, that was great." And I just went, I about got killed.
For real.
And Philadelphia fans are not.
Especially get some alcohol in them that think.
And this was a day game, and they were all drunk.
So
I'm abusing Philadelphia fans. Sorry.
That's all right. I don't like them either.
I don't know.
All right. So here's something I know that you're really passionate about, and then I'll let you go. Is the University of Miami Athletic Hall of Fame? Talk for a minute about what that is, and I know it's a charitable organization. It's a 501c3 nonprofit company. What are some of the things you guys do? How people can find out about it? How they can go and see some of the cool memorabilia and all the historical stuff? It's almost like a museum.
Yeah, it really is, and we're actually hoping to get a museum designation soon. But it's the Sports Hall of Fame. We're located right next to the Hecht Athletic Center on campus. We are currently closed because of COVID, and the university, is waiting to kind of open up in August when students come back. But we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so people can donate to us. They can also donate memorabilia if they've got it. The easiest way is to go to umsportshalloffame.com. That's umsportshalloffame.com. And they can donate either via our GoFundMe page, or like I say, if somebody wants to, it's a tax write-off, so write us a check and mail it to us. But we've got memorabilia that goes literally all the way back to the first year of the university's founding. We have some amazing pieces from people like Jim Otto, Ted Hendricks, Greg Louganis, greatest diver of all time, Rick Barry.
Awesome.
And we have displays dedicated to Miami's football national championships and Miami's baseball national championship. Plus, people don't realize we won a lot. We won 5 national championships in women's golf in the 70s, and we have a display for them. So,
Very cool.
It's a really cool facility. We're about 5,000 square feet. And like I say, right next to the Hecht Athletic Center. So certainly this fall we will definitely be open.
When by the time the students come back, it'll be open. You think
we're hoping to, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, we also do 4 events every year. We certainly our induction banquet. We're going to be doing a bowling tournament coming up in August. So you can go to umsportshalloffame.com. And it's going to be a bowling tournament that's actually anybody can bowl anywhere in the country. If you're a Hurricane fan, you can make the payment. We'll send you a T-shirt. And then on the day of the event, you can. And
then wherever that place they're bowling, they register the score, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and then we'll send the trophies out afterwards. So
very awesome.
It's a new thing we're trying this year, obviously because of COVID, and we'll be doing a local site here at Bird Bowl.
Okay, cool.
On Bird Road, but yeah, the umsportshalloffame.com. I appreciate you letting me promote it. And,
absolutely.
Love being. I haven't talked Marlin stuff in 20 years. So
John Routh, the original Billy the Marlin. This is awesome. Super glad you were able to come. Appreciate you so much. Hope to get you on again, buddy.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, let's flip the M tonight, boys. Go fish.
Preview.